Welcome to the EOB podcast, where we talk about the weekend box office and the new openings this week. I'm Ben No, and joining me is Sen Dong. So, Sen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. That's two
Mission
weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. Mission Impossible movie. We were kind of right and kind of wrong.
You were the whitest. What were you predicting?
For Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, I said it would probably do somewhere in the 50s. I was within the ballpark. It made 55.5 million.
I said 70 million, so I was way too high.
Yeah, it's just that judging by the previous movies, Mission Impossible is not really a 70 million movie. It doesn't trend that way.
Yeah, you're right about that. Because my thing is because the John Woo one, which is the second one, made 57, and then the previous one, Ghost Protocol. I mean, hey, Ghost Protocol had a weird release, as a wide release film. It was release limited, and then it went wide, which is kind of weird for a blockbuster movie. So it's kind of hard to gauge based on that. But I was thinking, well, if the John Woo one is able to do 57 million way back then, 10 or so years ago, if not more, and the previous Brad one directed by Brad Bird was so well reviewed and so well regarded and did so well, I was thinking the goodwill is gonna explode with the latest one. But here's the interesting thing. I said 70 million, which ended up being way too high. But I was reading the tracking from Variety, and the film was only tracking to do 40 million. And most people were only predicting somewhere in the 40 million range too. So I was like, wow, everyone was so low on this. I was super high, but you were right on the mark.
I think you were thinking the Fast and Furious franchise. I think that influenced you because like each one of those movies went progressively higher and higher and higher.
Since the reboot. Since the reboot.
Right, since the reboot. But
Yeah, since the
like
reboot.
I say, Mission Impossible is not that type of movie where I mean, if you look at the previous movies, it really didn't go. Each movie didn't really go higher and higher. It just like got a small bump and then it dipped and then it kind of averaged out to the 40s.
Yeah. It depends though. I mean, the second one did do 57, which is really high, and then the third one was what 47. But the problem with that one, it was during the couch jumping Tom Cruise days. So that one is kind of hard to gauge. And then the one following that, the Brad Bird one, was because of the all this bad publicity with Tom Cruise and Scientology. But the great reviews eventually gave it enough legs to become one of the higher grossing of the series. And worldwide, I think it was the highest grossing of the series. Yeah, if you look at the average, it's not a film that can do 70, but it looks like a film that can do in the 60s because of the second one. And I was thinking, like I said before, because of the goodwill generated by the previous one, it's going to do a lot better. I mean, in general, it did do pretty well. This is at 55.5 million over the weekend. It's the second highest opening of the series. So I guess that's a bump for Tom Cruise.
Right. I'm sure you're not surprised to learn that, hey, they're going ahead with Mission Impossible 6.
Yeah. Not surprisingly. Especially the previous two have been doing really well, not just at the box office, but also critically. Two films in a row now is, the previous film and this film are above 90% on the tomato meter. Actually, they're exactly the same, 93%.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Mission Impossible movies are reviewed so well. 90% is kind of unheard of for like an action movie, for type of movies. But for some reason, they really like it. So
yeah, I think it's because the last two films they kind of went against the trend of mass mayhem where you see buildings getting blown up and the planet getting blown up really nicely into smithereens. This one was more old school action movie where it's more like, your traditional stunt work, racing motorcycles and car chases. And all these are done kind of like not heavily reliant on CGI. It looks more realistic. It kind of differentiates itself. And there's also a lot of creativity. Like, everyone talks about the scene in Ghost Protocol where Tom Cruise is hanging on the skyscraper. It's a very creative action sequence. Rogue Nation has a similar sequence underwater that is kind of creative. the idea for these films is not to blow you away, for instance, not just, hey, we're going to show you how we can blow up everything really nicely, which seems to be the trend nowadays with all the superhero movies. But this one's more like, instead of blowing stuff up, we're going to be very creative about these action sequences and entertain you that way, rather than just by throwing lots of money into the CGI and the pyrotechnics.
Right. I mean, what's interesting to me is that I find that Tom Cruise has turned into Jackie Chan in his later years.
Yeah, I heard that mentioned a couple of times. Here's the kind of parallels that I see. The parallel is that Tom Cruise has been a top action star for the last 3 decades. Same as Jackie Chan, except Jackie Chan has been the top action star for even longer. That's the parallel I see. Jackie Chan has been #1 at the box office in Hong Kong, and China since the late 70s. I mean, that's like how many decades? That's like late 70s. That's like 4 or 5 decades.
Mm-hmm. 4 decades. Like let's say he controls. Jackie Chan controls the whole tool chain. He produces, he writes, he directs. He can make his own movies.
Yeah, he's how old is Jackie Chan now? He's like almost 60 or
probably. I mean, he's there.
Yeah, he's almost 60, and he's still the top action star in China right now. His last few films still make like near 100 million or more in China. So that's the parallel I see. But in terms of stunt work and stuff, Jackie Chan during his heyday has done way more crazier stuff than the most crazy stuff that Tom Cruise did. Let's put it this way.
Right, but what I'm saying is that Tom Cruise is going for authenticity in the action scenes. Doing his own stunts, kind of like that. I mean,
in that regard, I see it, and I'm glad they're going for that old school authenticity thing, which is in today's action atmosphere, it actually stands out a lot because you watch it and it looks really different. You're exhilarated by the motorcycle chases. You're exhilarated by the underwater sequence where he needed to put a key in something and he's underwater and he's running out of oxygen and lots of stuff happens. So you're exhilarated by the creativity of the action scenes, not by how much stuff blows up and how much CGI work went into these explosions.
Right. I guess it's one of these. I guess authenticity is the selling point right now. I mean, if you're into the action movies. Like The Raid.
Yeah, like The Raid,
movies.
Exactly.
Go back to old school.
Yeah. When you watch Mission Impossible, a lot of this stuff look really authentic. Kind of like Mad Max too. Mad Max Road Fury.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the exhilaration is seeing all these stunt guys doing these things. It looks like it is assisted by CGI, but not overly assisted. It looks like they did it live.
Mm-hmm.
They went for the like you said, authenticity or realism. I'm surprised that Mission Impossible actually cost 150 million to make. Because for something that looks so realistic and unassisted by CGI, it costs almost as much as your average Marvel movie, where every one of them try to blow the planet up.
Yeah, well, it might not look like it has special effects, but I'm sure there are some special effects in the movie.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's.
They're cleaning up. Trying to make things look real. It's also takes work.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Trying to make stuff look real is really expensive. Mm-hmm. I guess when Mission Impossible, well, you can't tell by watching it that it costs 150 million because everything looks so realistic. But at the same time, to make things look realistic, it costs money. It's kind of counterintuitive.
Okay, well, one thing we have to say about Tom Cruise is that he's a kind of sort of a master of reinvention, right? His career was going downhill. I think it's after that couch jumping incident, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Then he reinvented himself and became this mega star again.
Yeah, he's been in a string of very good movies. Even The Edge of Tomorrow was very well reviewed. Even though it kind of disappointed at the box office, it still made 100 million. But it was one of those, well reviewed and decent at the box office. Not great, not good, just kind of in the middle. They would have hoped for more. And even what's the other one?
The Oblivion?
Even Oblivion was again well reviewed, didn't do as well. Oblivion was kind of like Edge of Tomorrow. It opened decent. It still ended up making about like 100 million or somewhere close to there, but it didn't do as well as people expected.
Yeah, I would expect those movies to be big overseas, but it really didn't do that well overseas. I mean, it did okay, but not as well as what I expected given the Tom Cruise brand.
Actually, they did decent.
They did decent, but I'm not. What I'm looking at is like maybe worldwide figures goes into the like 400 and 500 million range.
Oh, okay, right.
Someone for a movie that's like effects heavy and has Tom Cruise.
Yeah, although Edge of Tomorrow did get closer, it was like 370, and worldwide. Yeah. And Oblivion still ended up making around 300 million, which is not bad. But I'm even surprised by Jack Reacher. Ended up doing about 80 million, and it's decently well reviewed. His last 3 or 4 films have been decently reviewed, like Edge of Tomorrow, Oblivion, Jack Reacher, and the 2 Mission Impossibles.
Okay.
So Tom Cruise has been in a string of well-reviewed and mediocre box office. Not good, but not bad. Like they all do around 80 to 100 million.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way.
With the exception of the Mission Impossible movies.
Right. If you take the budget of the movies out of those, they're decent returns.
Yeah. Especially Jack Reacher. I'm surprised they made Jack Reacher for only 60 million, and they ended up doing 80 million. And worldwide, I think it was like 218 worldwide.
Yeah, I mean, apparently it didn't make enough that they're so enthusiastic about doing one,
Oh, they say they're gonna do another one.
Oh, they say they're gonna do, but it's one of those things they say, oh yeah, we would like to return for another one, but we don't know.
Oh, no. Well, no, this is how in the beginning of the promotions, they always say they want to do another one, but this one was after the fact, way after the fact, like just a couple months ago, that they said they're doing another Jack Reacher.
Well, I guess maybe a script is being written somewhere, but it's like Tom Cruise and Top Gun 2. Oh, we're gonna do another one, but we don't know when. It's kind of things that if they're so enthusiastic about it, they'll do it like right away. They'll write a script and they'll shoot like in maybe and the movie will come out in 2 years or so.
Yeah, we don't know when they're gonna make it, but I mean usually. Like my thing is usually they'll say, "Oh, we're doing sequels and stuff" while they're promoting the movie, and then after the fact, they look at the box office and then there's no more talk about it. But Jack Reacher is they said they want to do 2 or 3, and then when they came out, it wasn't blowing up at the box office, so then that talk kind of cooled down. But I think when everything is said and done and the international numbers came out and it ended up making more than 3 times its budget worldwide. I think a couple months ago, Tom Cruise and the screenwriter, who also is the screenwriter and director of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, said they're working on another one. Like they're actively, writing the script and developing it.
We'll see.
It's not something that So it's not something that's like. They said way back then when they're promoting the movie and it's and they put it on the shelf.
Okay,
but we'll see. Like you said, we'll see.
I'll believe it when I see it, but I can. I'm willing to bet that the next Mission Impossible movie will come out before the next Jack Reacher.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean definitely, it'll definitely come out a lot quicker, especially since it's doing so well.
Right. But I'm just saying, Tom Cruise is an indie man actor, right? Why make a movie that open to 15 million, instead of one that opened to 55?
Well, the budget is a lot cheaper. It doesn't cost 150 million.
Yeah, but the potential to make more money, it's one of those things.
Well, yeah. But Jack Reacher, it only cost 60 million, and they made 220 million worldwide. So I think the profit is pretty high. The profit margin on that is pretty high. But anyway,
right? Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay. Yes, Tom Cruise said and done. unless another couch jumping incident happens. So I think his Mission Impossible movies will continue to do well, and maybe eventually, if he makes enough of them, it will reach the vaunted, 70 million that you're looking for in
Oh
the
yeah,
franchise. Okay,
maybe Mission Impossible 6
maybe,
will do
maybe,
it.
maybe. Right,
All
right.
right.
Okay, moving on. Number two, Vacation. It made 14.7 million over the weekend. Since it opened on Wednesday, it has a 5-day gross of 21 million.
Yeah, and here's the other. This one is interesting too. I was way off. I like Mission Impossible, but on the downside, I was saying, well, you know what? Ed Helms has never opened a movie before, and I was like, you know what? This one's gonna make 5 million over the weekend. But of course, it made a lot more than that. And what were you predicting? You were
I was
saying,
I was saying 35 million over 5 days.
yeah. So that's actually the figure that what most people were expecting from what I read. And it was actually tracking to do that well. But like Mission Impossible, when I was ultra high, this one I was ultra low. I just didn't think it would do as well as people were predicting, but I was way, way low. Yeah, this somewhere in the middle. And here's where, expectations come into play because for, 15 million for opening for Ed Helms movie that only cost 30 million, that's not bad. But it's considered a disappointment when, the expectations were so high.
Well, to be fair, the expectation wasn't high to begin with, but at least I thought it would do better than the 21 million since it's a new comedy, and it looks like it's funny. From the previews, but we know those are disappointing. But most people don't read reviews anyway. They just look at the things like, oh yeah, we want to see that, and they go see it. And this one, I guess like people don't really want to watch this movie.
Well, here's the thing: the expectations were kind of high, though. That's why people were predicting 30 to 35 million.
Right, but these are
Because,
from box office analysts. I mean, I'm talking about normal moviegoers. They would take a look, say, "Hey, let's go watch Vacation." But I think it's like you said, no one wants to go to watch Ed Helms. Like he's not known as someone who opened movies, or same as Christina Applegate, right?
Yeah, you're right. People in the industry were predicting had high hopes. Because they reveal a trailer and I think behind the scenes clips or whatever when they were promoting it at CinemaCon, which is a yearly thing that they show to theater owners, and people were pretty high on it. And then they went to Comic-Con and they did the same thing, show the trailer, show some clips, I think, and people were very high on it there too. Because of those two events, theater owners and people in the industry were thinking that hey, they got a hit in their hands. That's why, like you, they were predicting 30 to 35 opening, which would have been great, which would have been a legitimate hit opening. But it ended up only doing 21 million in 5 days instead of like 35 million, and because of that, people were disappointed. And here's where expectations come into play. Like Mission Impossible, because people were only expecting 40 million and it did 55.5 million. Everyone's like, whoa, it did a lot better than expected. It's a huge hit. And Vacation, when you look at it, hey, it's a Ed Helms film, it's a reboot, and it only cost 30 million to make. And in 5 days, it already made 21 million. That's pretty good. But now people are saying it's a dud just because people were expecting 35 million.
The expectation plays a part in this too. It plays a part in the hype.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
It drives narrative, right? For example, say, oh, this Vacation is dud. So even if it made money, people will regard this as a dud.
Yeah.
And they might not want to make another one, or if they make a sequel, right? They say, oh, the first movie was a dud.
I don't think they'll make a sequel now, even though maybe direct to video, because not only is it not very well reviewed, what is it, 20-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, 24%.
Yeah.
And then I think the cinema score was only like a B, which is pretty bad. So word of mouth will probably not be very good on this. It'll probably drop, next week. by like 50-60% range, and they'll probably disappear pretty quickly, and they'll make back its budget, and when it's all said and done, they'll probably make a small profit for New Line, but not enough where they're gonna go, all right, let's crank out another one.
Right.
I think those are the two new Y debuts this week. So let's move on down the chart of whole awards.
Okay, number 3. Ant-Man made 12.8 million over the weekend. In its third week, it already made 132 million. It only experienced a 48.6% drop off from the previous week. Like you say, this movie did pretty well considering that Ant-Man is a third-tier character in the comic books.
Right. Domestically, it already made back its budget. And it looks like it'll probably end up making like 160 when it's all said and done, which is not bad. And worldwide is already at 292 million.
You know, even though it's only in its third week, it felt like it's been in theaters longer.
Yeah, because we've been talking about it so much.
Yeah, but some movies, we could talk for more, longer time. But Ant-Man seems like, just there. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, another superhero movie from Marvel. And because the story, like I say, what drives the narrative is like, hey, a third-tier character, and Marvel is successful at bringing whatever character that they have in their library and make it turn into a franchise.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's like third-tier character, Paul Rudd, a recognizable name, but someone who's not a huge draw at the box office, and you pair him up with Marvel, and boom, another hit. And well reviewed.
So I guess we can look forward to more third-tier characters. Maybe they'll
fourth and fifth tier.
Right, they'll dip into those. We don't know who those characters are because they're fourth and fifth tiers.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Minions, the number 4th movie of the weekend. It did a pretty close to Ant-Man, 12.4 million, 46% drop off. It's already made 288 million after 4 weeks in release at a budget of just 74 million. Worldwide is at 855 million.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna reach $1 billion, right?
Yep, it's gonna be a $1 billion film. Universal has they not only have Despicable Me, now they have Minions.
Well, that's the thing. I think Minions has more potential than Despicable Me, I think, going forward.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. Although Despicable Me 2 is still the higher grossing. It doesn't look like Minions will reach that figure though. Right, they'll get close, but it won't be as much. Yeah, you know how like Shrek was such a huge hit, and then they try to make these spin-offs.
Right.
Like Puss in Boots. They did decent, but they weren't nearly as big of a hit as Shrek. Now, Minions is as big of a hit as Despicable Me, even though it's a spin-off. I guess that's the exception to the rule, because even the Madagascar movies, they try to spin out the Penguin movies, but it didn't work out. But they did for Universal.
Right. Well, the Minions is actually sort of like a main character in a sense. Like for the Madagascar movies, penguins, they're more like a sideshow, like the in the Ice Age movie, like the squirrel.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's a break from the action. The penguins are like comic relief when you need to take a break.
Right.
But Minions are like pretty much integral to the movies.
Yeah, although after the first film, in the first film they were kind of side characters, though, comic relief. And even the second film, they were more comic relief, except they were more of them in the second film. Like they have more of these. There were more of these side segments, but it's not really that. You can take them out from both movies, and the plot and everything still works. Mm-hmm. It's just that on the second one, they decided to have more gags for them. I know how you feel because they're putting more of them in the films.
Right. They get more screen time.
They get more screen time. Yeah. But in terms of story, they're not, even in the second one, you can take them completely out and the story still works.
That big action scene at the end in Despicable Me 2, you need the Minions to work. Anyway, okay.
Anyway, yeah. We'll agree to disagree on that one.
Okay. I don't think we actually disagree. I think we're just approaching it from different perspectives.
Hmm.
We're looking at the same things.
I
So
think
anyway,
in the end, it's always somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Yes,
right.
the minions, they are showing more minions in the Despicable Me 2s. But at the same time, I still feel like in those films, they're kind of side characters for, comic relief.
Okay,
But
all right.
with the Minions movies, there's no debating that they're the main characters in the film.
Exactly, and it works. You,
Yeah,
you
and it
you can't
works.
really say you take them out and the movie still works.
Yeah, right, exactly. You take them out in Minions, there is no movie.
Right, right. Okay, number 5, Pixels, the Adam Sandler movie about video game characters from the 80s coming to life and destroying the world. In the second week, it experienced a 56% drop off. They only pulled in 10.5 million.
Yeah, and after 2 weeks, it is only made 46 million at a budget of 88 million. So it's going to lose money unless it does a lot overseas. And so far, the worldwide total is only 102 million. At an 88 million budget, it needs to do at least 180 million to even break even.
I can see this movie doing well overseas.
Yeah, we'll have to
Yeah,
see. I can see that too. I can see that too. Yeah.
I mean, even right now with it only open in some foreign markets only, and
Okay.
it already made 56 million.
Right. Right. It is
So
already outgrows what it did domestically.
yeah. So I can see it doing like double, triple the domestic box office.
Okay. Yeah. I can see that too.
But anyway, let's get back to Pixels. Well, we are talking about Pixels, but let's
Yeah.
get back to the problem with Pixel. Actually, is that like I felt that it wasn't really an Adam Sandler movie. That was
Right.
just one of those characters just there for his name.
The way I would put this is it's more like Mark Wahlberg in Transformers: Age of Extinction. Sure, Mark Wahlberg's a star, but the Transformers are the main stars in that movie. With Pixels, sure, Adam Sandler's a star, but it's the video game characters that are the star of the film.
Well, let me correct you. Well, not correct you, but let me say something.
No,
Okay.
I don't want you to correct me.
No.
I'm
Okay.
always right.
All right. In Michael Bay films, no one is actually the star.
Okay,
No
that's
one is
true.
actually the star. Okay, the stars
Yeah.
or the American flag.
Right.
And what
The
else?
military man,
Yeah, military man.
the helicopters.
Explosions, panning
Yeah.
shots, those kind of things.
Right.
No
Right.
one is
Right.
the
Right.
star. Other people just props.
Right. All right. Let's move on to number 6, Trainwreck. The Apatow directed, Amy Schumer starring comedy. It made 9.6 million this weekend. The drop off is 44%, not too bad. And after 3 weeks, it has already made almost 80 million at a budget of just 35 million. So it's still doing well.
Yeah, it like we said, we don't know who Amy Schumer is, but
Yeah.
with this movie, she is thrust into the spotlight. Now we know who she is. We're looking forward to see if she can repeat, if she can have another hit on her hand before we say that she's probably the new comedian in town.
Yeah, right. And it looks like Trainwreck is headed for 100 million total.
Which is kind of surprising, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we wouldn't expect Trainwreck to do so well. I was saying that I'd probably make 15, open to 15 million. Probably going to end up like, lifetime gross is probably going to be in the 40s or 50s, right? But,
Right.
like you say, suddenly, it's heading toward 100 million.
And here's the thing with Trainwreck. Even if it opened at 15 and made 40 to 50 million, that would be considered a decent sized, modest hit. The fact that it did twice that means that, hey, it's a legitimate box office hit, a star making movie.
Like I say, we have to see if Amy Schumer can repeat. If
Yeah.
she is the new Melissa McCarthy with the, I guess, more edgy comedies.
Yeah, maybe.
Because this Trainwreck is about a movie like sort of like a female empowerment, right? She's the one sleeping around. She's the one, dumping guys. But of course, typical, twist like, she ended up falling for this doctor. And then there's LeBron James.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to number 7, Southpaw. It pulled in 7.6 million over the weekend and experienced a 54% drop in the second week and made 31.6 million total.
At a budget
So
of 30 million. And, you know, it looks like it'll probably end as one at around 50 million, when you say?
yeah, it could do that. It could do that, yeah.
Yeah,
But
probably around 50.
it seems like it's Southpaw is a typical Jake
Yeah,
Gyllenhaal
movie, yeah, yeah.
movie, you know. That's what
Yeah.
his movie is.
I mean, which is not bad. I mean, if you can consistently do that. He has a certain draw, just not a huge draw.
I don't think he hasn't break out into A-lister yet. I mean, but he has his niche. You know, all these dramas.
He's kind of on the B plus area, not quite on the A list yet.
Well, if you're not A, you're B or C. So
he's B plus.
I'm not sure. I think he's still a B. I mean, he still has his draw. Like he's kind of like a Jason Statham. You know.
Well, except Jason Statham is now direct to video.
Well, who knows? We don't know. He might get there.
All right, let's move on to number 8, Paper Towns. It made 4.6 million this week, and like I said last week, even though it didn't experience a 70% drop off, it did experience a 63% drop off. And after 2 weeks, it made about 24 million and a budget of just 12 million. So it is a hit. The only thing is fans of this film rushed out to see it on opening day, and then they just kind of completely drop off afterwards.
I think the box office performance suggests to me that the book wasn't that popular to begin with. Like The Fault in Our Stars, people watch that. When I watched that, and it has a huge opening and made like a lot of money at the box office. But Paper Towns is right. It's by the same author as The Fault in Our Stars, but there's no big rush to watch it.
Yeah, well, there's a decent rush. It made the most money on its opening day, and then it dropped off really badly.
No, yeah, I'm saying the rush, like The Fault in a Star, big. This huge crowd, but Paper Town didn't experience that, and which says to me, Paper Town wasn't as big of a novel as The Fault in the Stars.
Yeah, it probably wasn't. But there was a slight, rush to see it. Because on its opening day, it made like about 6.3 million, which suggested that it would make anywhere from it would probably end up making like 20 to 25 million over the weekend, which would make it a legitimate, good size hit. But then on Saturday, it ended up grossing just 3.5 million, just half of what it made on its opening day, which is a really, really bad sign.
If the author includes vampires and werewolves, I think it'll do better.
Yeah.
Or maybe S&M material.
Yeah. Or maybe you know what? I think it's Good Morning Sacramento. They killed the film.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. You heard about the story?
Yeah. I saw the clip. I don't think so.
Yeah. I'm just saying. Right. Cara Delevingne. Is that how you pronounce her name?
I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure I got the first part right. It is Cara, not Carla. Like the Good Day Sacramento people. I guess it's never good when you mispronounce someone's name.
Like we are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess in the video, they were the 3 hosts were kind of like making fun of the movie, right? Or making fun of her.
I think it's one of those instances where, I mean, both sides were wrong. Her attitude could have been better. The host could have been better prepared because number one, she got her name wrong. It's like she called her Carla, and number two, the woman host even caught herself. She's like, "Do you guys, I think she was trying to say, hey, you're a teenager. Do teens even read books now? With all these social media, with phones and all that stuff." And then she even caught herself saying that. She's like, "Do you guys even read?" And then she started laughing because she caught herself saying something that's kind of stupid.
Right.
And obviously, it was kind of insulting to her, to Cara Delevingne. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, because because it's like not only not only did you mispronounce my name, you also insulting me, saying that I haven't even read the book yet, before making the movie. You're looking at me, like a teen who doesn't read. Of course, with that kind of attitude, and then her male host look at her IMDb list and said, "Hey, you make one movie after the other. Does that keep you more focused?" And so they were just making stuff up on the fly. They didn't do any kind of preparation for the interview. It's just like, hey, get her online. We'll just wing it. And her attitude wasn't that great.
Yeah. Anyway, to be fair, those interviews when you have no interest in the movies are pretty tough to do.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you that how big a fan they are of hers and her movies. So
right. Let's move on to number 8. Number 9. We're on number 9. Inside Out. It grossed 4.5 million this weekend at a 39% drop off. The total is at 329.6 million. Let me see, what is Finding Nemo at?
Finding Nemo domestic is at 339 million.
Oh, okay. Do you think it's going to catch it? Looks like it will, huh?
It needs 10 million more. So I think it will.
That's pretty amazing because, Inside Out being the highest grossing non-sequel film in the Pixar library is very impressive. And the thing is, Inside Out, the concept is so abstract. The fact that it's able to do this well with such an abstract concept is pretty amazing.
I have nothing to add to that. So, we've been talking about Inside Out for 7 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the worldwide total. Worldwide, it just broke the $600 million barrier. And it's still expanding.
Yeah, it's still expanding. I'm looking at Minions, right? Minions already made 800 million?
Yeah. Yep.
Worldwide. Inside Out's at 600 million. So as you say, it's expanding. So maybe eventually it'll overtake Minions.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure I'm not sure if it would eventually overtake Minions. The thing with Pixar movies is, for some reason, they always roll it out incrementally rather than boom, open it everywhere in the world, at once. But they kind of slowly expand around the world.
You think if they chose to do that, or is it because of some, limitation of this distribution system, like governments don't want them to?
Well, I don't know. It seems like a pattern that they're comfortable with. They have always been doing this with Pixar movies, especially with such a huge brand. You would think that they would go boom, let's release it everywhere at the same time. But for some reason, I guess maybe they're comfortable doing it this way. It's like a slow rollout. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe they're just comfortable doing it because Pixar is a big enough brand overseas that they should be able to do what every other studio does, which is for a big event movie, which is just throw it out everywhere. But they don't.
Well, that's true. But the thing is, the overseas market is different from here. Like they have all these other movies opening, like movies from last year could be opening right now.
Yeah, overseas. Yeah,
overseas. But, so it could be
something
else.
Yeah, what I'm saying is because other studios are releasing these movies overseas, or able, for the blockbusters, or able to release it almost like everywhere at the same time. It's not something that they couldn't do, but for some reason they just decided that a better way to do it is to slow rollout. Maybe they find that they're able to use the marketing better, or maybe they think that doing it this method, they're able to save more money and have it more successful. I don't know. But the thing is, other studios have shown, and they have shown with the Marvel movies, that you can release it everywhere at once, but they just, for some reason, decided not to.
An interesting piece of trivia there. Okay, let's move on to number 10. Jurassic World. It made 3.9 million in its 8th week. Experienced a 46% drop from the previous week, and made 631 million domestic. And
the highest growth?
Yes, the worldwide figure right now is at 1.5 billion.
It's the highest grossing movie of the year. It's the 3rd highest grossing movie of all time, behind the 2 James Cameron movies, both domestically and globally.
I want to ask you a question. How many top 5 movies will James Cameron have on a worldwide scale? Yeah,
that's true, huh? Because when Avatar 2 comes out, it's gonna be number 3, unless unless he completely screws it up. And he's making 2 avatars, so you know that he'll have at least 2 up there in the top 5. He might have 1 through 5.
It's possible, but and the thing about Titanic is they could release this movie forever.
You know what? Judging by how it did on its re-release, I don't know. Judging by how it did on it, it only did. I mean, it did okay. It ended up making about 46 million on its re-release, but it's not a Star Wars re-release.
It's not a Star Wars release, but hey, it's already at 2.1 billion, and they just it needs is just these little small bumps.
Whenever another movie is catching up, they re-release it.
Right. And all it needs is these like 40 million or so, and keep on releasing it forever, and it will always stay at the top 5.
Right. Yeah. The only thing holding James Cameron back from getting 5 movies at the top 5 of all time is fishing. Because sometimes he spends too many years fishing.
I don't know. I mean, I would like to go on one of his fishing trips. Probably more exciting than one of his movies, so I don't know.
Before he released Avatar, people were like, hey, when are you going to make another movie after Titanic? He's like, well, I spent 4 years making one movie, and then I spent 6 years fishing.
Well, the thing is, he takes things back from his fishing trips and put them in his movies. We know that there's going to be like underwater scenes in the second Avatar movie. Be some, it's not going to be an insignificant amount, so it's going to be there.
Yeah, that's true. Anything pops out at you in the chart?
Terminator Genisys. It dropped out of the top 10. Let's see, in its 5th week, it's only made 943K, and for a total of so far of 87 million. But the worldwide is doing quite well, 317 million worldwide.
Yeah, I mean that even at a budget of 155 million, that by itself is good enough for a sequel. That worldwide figure, and it hasn't opened in China yet. Like we said in the previous podcast, it is very likely that we'll see sequels.
Right. But we don't know how much the second movie will make. That's the thing, because the first Terminator wasn't that well. I mean, the new reboot Genisys wasn't well regarded, right? It was an okay movie, but people just say it's not doing well in the US. But it's still big overseas. But we don't know. It might be just a brand doing work overseas, and we'll see if they experience a drop off with the second movie.
Yeah, right. So they might be able to make another sequel, but the thing is, by the third one, interest might be completely gone. Yeah, I mean, the foreign market always takes some time to catch up to the domestic market.
Wait. Where do you go on from Terminator Genisys?
It's kind of interesting because when immediately after I saw it, I was talking to my brother about the timeline and stuff, and I was saying, you know what, the only way that the timeline makes sense is if what they're involved in is a multiverse. Basically, multiverse is every time you make a certain decision, it happens in another parallel universe. From what I was reading, that is something that they're going with, is that it's a multiverse, not a single universe. In that way, things can make sense. Otherwise, it's a complete, total confusion. So where they go on with this is because it's a reboot, they completely change everything. So they can, at the end of the movie, they said, hey, you can do whatever you want now. The slate's wiped clean, pretty much.
I don't know. That's what I felt like in the Terminator 3.
Mm-hmm.
The ending is kind of like, okay, we couldn't change anything.
Yeah.
And the Terminator movie was like, oh, his mission was always to lead him up to that point.
That's actually another idea in the time travel theory, is that the whole time travel theory is, they say the only thing with time travel is one of the things is there's a paradox where you can change things, but you can only change things, but they have no effect on the outcome. It's something that physicists said the only way that time travel works is that you can change things, but they don't really affect anything. That's a concept that they also explored in the Lost, in the TV series Lost. That's the same concept that they are also exploring that. With Terminator Genisys, I think they're exploring the multiverse concept. which is like every decision you make happens in an alternate universe. So like if you're driving and you're like, hey, I'm gonna make a right. Sure, you make a right, but then in the alternate parallel universe, you also made a left. And in another alternate universe, you also went straight.
You know, I don't think that makes it any simpler.
Yeah, it doesn't, but then it makes more sense where the thing is you don't have to go back in time and go, hey, here's how this affects that and this affects that and this doesn't work because of that. It's not a single line because
No,
every
yeah.
decision you make happens in another parallel universe. You can do anything
Well, yeah,
basically.
right. The point with the
Yeah,
thing is like even with the like time travel and the multiverse idea is that it just throws everything out of whack, and it's like any
yeah,
action you do doesn't really matter. You
yeah.
know,
That's the thing.
because that you
Yeah,
could always go back and to change things, or yeah, hey, this happens in another
yeah.
universe.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only problem with the multiverse idea is that nothing happens really matters because, everything you do happens in an alternate universe. So it doesn't really, the outcome doesn't really matter. That's the only problem with the multiverse scenario. But the only problem with that is everything has no consequence because nothing really matters because every decision has already been made and every decision happens in a parallel universe.
Right, right. I mean,
Yeah.
let's go through the timeline. Right, the first Terminator movie, right? It's like, okay, this machine was sent back to prevent the humans from preventing Judgment Day, right? The second
Yeah.
movie is like they
Well,
did
that
it.
didn't work. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah, they
second
did it.
movie is
Yeah.
like okay, yeah, that didn't work. Okay, now we send this robot to protect you.
That's what's great about James Cameron is he kept the time travel elements simple.
Hmm.
So it's not confusing at all.
Right,
Genesis is really confusing.
yeah, and it was always focused on Judgment Day. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
Judgment Day is coming, and we couldn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah.
And the third movie kind of built upon that. It's like, oh yeah, it happened anyway, despite
Yeah.
and
Which is actually logical based on these theories by physicists, which is that even if you're able to do time travel, you can't really. The only way that's possible is that you can't change anything.
yeah, but I'm saying just that once it reached the third movie, it's like, okay, since we couldn't change anything, why watch it? It's
That's
just
true.
like it's always the thing is always has been about preventing Judgment Day, right?
Right.
And then for Genesis, reboot or whatever. It's like, okay, it's like all going through all the motion. Like, oh, we just send another character back in time. If not this does one, let's do another one. So by that point, the
Yeah.
audience are already saying, okay, yeah, why do this since we can do it preventing? We're just watching people running around shooting guns.
Yeah. Although at the same
That's the thing
time,
is that's what I'm saying. It's like where do you go on from Genesis? Okay, yeah, sure they reboot it, but it's gonna be the same old thing again. Like people running around shooting guns and trying to escape from killer robots.
I think you can go on a philosophical loop there though, because then it's just like life. Hey, in life, there's a beginning and an end. Everyone knows they're gonna die, so but everyone will still enjoy their life.
Well, no, I'm
Right?
true. But I'm just saying, I'm talking in
Yeah.
the movie sense. It's like, wait, why would
Yeah.
watch it since there's no end to the movie?
Well, you're saying like, hey, we know that hey, Judgment Day will happen no matter what, so why watch it? So then you go onto this philosophical loop where it's like life. You know that you're gonna die, so why live it?
Yeah, it's
Right?
that's quite a stretch. Your arm must be tired.
All right.
We're spending too much time on Terminator, but like I'm saying,
Yeah.
like the James Cameron movies, like we want to know if Judgment Day could be prevented. After we know that it couldn't, then there's no point in watching it anymore. I mean, they couldn't take this movie out.
Yeah, that's true.
Else.
Yeah.
And that's why the series that judging by the box office dropped.
Right.
Okay.
Until 2019 when James Cameron gets a hold of the rights again.
Right, and it'll take place underwater.
Yeah.
Let's move on then to the openings. We have a couple. The biggest one is the Fantastic Four reboot. That's directed by Josh Trank, the guy who did the found footage superhero movie Chronicle. Then we have The Gift. We don't know how wide that is. It's a nationwide, but we don't have a theater count on that. Suspected that it's wide enough that it's wide. And then we have the Meryl Streep movie. She plays an aging rocker, Ricki and the Flash. And then the animation, Shaun the Sheep, I think from the same people who did Artman Studio.
Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, all those claymation movies. Okay, Fantastic Four, the reboot.
The first two Fantastic Four movies, I thought they were okay. They were entertaining. They weren't great. They didn't push the envelope on anything. What I like about the first Fantastic Four was that I feel like it's the first comic book movie that actually gave its characters superpowers. And you actually see it on screen where you see cars being thrown in the air. You see people with superpowers just throwing massive objects, as if they have superpowers. And that's what I like about the first film. And then the second film was entertaining, but okay, go ahead.
Right, I'll just condense the first two Fantastic Four movie into 2 words.
Okay.
Jessica Alba.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure where to go with that, but
anyway, you say all these effects and whatever. I'm just saying, hey, Jessica Alba made the movie. But anyway, I'm not wrong. Right. I'm not wrong.
Okay, all right. Okay, that's where you're going. I thought you were going into what critics were panning the first film about. Is you have Jessica Alba, one of the best-looking celebrities out there, and you made her invisible. That was like one of the main complaints about the first film from critics. Not main complaint, that they felt was like kind of illogical.
The thing with
which kind of goes into what you have to say, but all right, let's move on.
Right. Okay. The thing with Fantastic Four, I felt, is what Sony, that the problem is Sony had with Spider-Man. It's in its own self-contained world, where that they have to do endless reboots because there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, right. And they still have the rights, and they still need to make money from it.
That's right. I mean, the first 2 movies did okay, but it didn't do gangbusters. It didn't say, wow, we need more Fantastic Four movies, right? After the second movie, they say, okay, let's scrap it, and then okay, since we have this property and it's going back to Marvel, if we don't do anything with it, that's why they do the reboot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the first 2 is exactly as what it made, as much as it deserves to make, which is it's solid entertainment. It doesn't push the envelope. It's not great. It's just you put it on TV and you'll be kind of entertained and you won't be bored for a couple hours. And they did pretty well. I think both of them open in the 50 million range, and both of them end up grossing in the 130 to 150 million range, which is not bad but not great. But the reviews were terrible. I think both of them were like in the mid 30s or 40s. Not highly regarded, especially since most of the Marvel movies and comic book movies coming out at the time were pretty well reviewed. Like, the Spider-Mans, the Batmans, and even the Hellboy movies were well reviewed. Whenever you have a property that can open to 50 million, you're gonna try to reboot the hell out of it.
Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, these movies, cost over 100 million to make, and sometimes it might not. It didn't make as much as money as they hope, right? I mean, given everything, like I said, I felt like, oh, Fantastic Four movie, oh, another reboot, another origin story.
Right.
And it's not that long ago, right? Silver Surfer was released in 2007.
The weird thing is they're going younger with these reboots. Like the new Spider-Man, even the previous reboot, they're going younger, and then with the new reboot coming up, they went even younger with Peter Parker. And with Fantastic Four, all the actors are definitely a lot younger than the ones in the first films.
And younger is also cheaper.
Yeah, it's true. Yep, younger is also cheaper, and you don't have the leads from the first film asking you for more money. What's your figure on this?
Ooh. Here's the thing. I think the superhero movie changed quite a bit since Marvel entered the game. The stakes are higher, meaning that you just couldn't be a regular special effects movie anymore. It has to be about bigger things. That's why sometimes I see these standalone movies not working out so well. And a reason why, like Warner Brothers, is kind of integrating all their superhero movies, like Marvel's is doing too. Like there has to be this larger narrative stories, and Fantastic Four is a standalone movie. I think eventually it's going to join the ranks of the other superheroes as well, like what Sony did. They kind of gave Spider-Man back while they still hold the rights. They kind of let Marvel handle the direction. I felt that's what the Fantastic Four eventually will have to do, which has to depend on this reboot not doing that well. Like if it do really well, then Fox say, yeah, we have an extension on this. But if it doesn't, they have to start thinking, Marvel's going to be knocking on the door. Hey, we can make you a lot of money.
Yeah, right.
We're going to give you the same deal that we gave Sony. So I think that it's probably going to do.
Okay, before you give out the figure, let me update you on the opening. It opened better than I expected. The first Fantastic Four opened to 56 million in 2005. The second Fantastic Four opened to 58 million in 2007. That's why they're rebooting. These are pretty huge openings. All right, now you can go on with your figure.
Okay, huge openings, but like the lifetime worldwide gross didn't do as well.
Yeah.
Like the first movie, what made 330 million worldwide. The second movie dropped 289, so it's trending down.
Yeah, not too far off. Then.
Not too off, but you want your superhero movie, which costs like 130 million to, cross 300, 400, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so getting back to my figure, given that it's a superhero movie and that is still Fantastic Four kind of sort of rivals the X-Men in popularity. Even if it's below that, but I'm saying Kate Mara is no Jessica Alba. But even still, I think it's going to probably do 50, open to 50 million. I was thinking that it could maybe do less than that, but I don't see it. Given that the hype of the, it's another superhero movies. I think a superhero movie, if you make around, if you don't make in the 50s, then you're doing something wrong. I think superhero movies by default will do 50. And
so you think it's 50?
Yeah, I think 50, and not if I'm high on the Fantastic Four, right? I'll probably go 60, 70, but I'm not high on Fantastic Four. I'm saying by default, just because it's a superhero movie, it's gonna do to 50. You have to be like really bad to do below that.
Yeah, I'll go. Maybe I'll go a little low on this. I'll go 45.
Why do you think it'll make lower than 50, or why do you think it'll make 45? Open to 45.
I'm just thinking, hey, the first two films, they opened pretty huge, 56 million, 58 million. And the last film wasn't that well regarded. I mean, sure, there's some excitement, some initial excitement because, this is a reboot and, Michael B. Jordan's in it, fresh off his, indie hits and Chronicle. I'm looking at Spider-Man, the Spider-Man reboots, and they open up decent, but they didn't open up nearly as huge as the original Spider-Man franchise. So I'm thinking, here's Fantastic Four. The previous films weren't well regarded, even though they did decent. I don't see this doing as well as the previous film, so I'm going one notch lower, kind of like the Spider-Man reboots, a notch lower. So instead of 50s, I'm going with 40s. I'm not super high on it unless early reviews are like great.
And another concerning thing is that, hey, these, even though they have, who these actors are, like Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Bell, Kate Mara, they're, not exactly like
they're not even as as big name as the original Fantastic Four. Like the original Fantastic Four, at least who Jessica Alba is, and who Chris Evans is. At least decent enough names.
I mean, these are indie actors.
Yeah.
They're asked to fill a big role to become, like stars. So we'll have to see. Like you said, I'm not that high on the movie. I don't think it's gonna do well. Like I said, because like I say, the story has nowhere else to go. That it's doing another reboot. I think eventually they're gonna join the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
And even though the director Josh Trank did a pretty good job with Chronicle, they were pretty bad behind the scenes talk with him. Like they kind of fired him without firing him. They eventually took the movie from him because he was exhibiting erotic,
Wait,
erratic
erotic? No, no,
behavior.
no, no. Erratic.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
erratic,
not
erratic.
erotic.
Yeah, well, who knows both?
Okay, it could be. I
Yeah,
could be wrong. I'm known
yeah,
to be
erratic.
wrong.
Yeah, erratic. Like he's not there and taking drugs, that kind of talk. Not like
Hmm.
he's not Bill Cosby type behavior.
Okay, okay, all right.
So basically, I think the impression that I got was that he was kind of out of it throughout the shoot, and the film was kind of taken away from him because of that.
Yeah, I heard that he pretty much got overwhelmed.
Oh, okay.
Well, kind of thing. He went
That could
from
be it too.
directed from an indie kind of movie to
To
this
this,
big thing with high expectation. That's why he dropped out of directing one of these Star Wars movies.
yeah,
I guess he might have a nervous breakdown.
could be.
You know.
Yeah. So I'm going in the 40s. You're going in the 50s, and we'll see who's right. I'm gonna see the film tomorrow, so I'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, like I say, superhero movies by default will get 50.
Hey, even the Green Lantern did open up to like 54 or
Yeah,
52
yeah.
million.
Right, right. It's just that like what happens after the opening frame.
Yeah, and surprisingly, they're not rebooting that.
No, they don't need to reboot it because they will integrate that into the Justice League storyline.
Ah, right.
So they don't exactly need to reboot it. They just slot him in, and
Mm.
have him go from there, which is the smart thing to do, really. Just spin him off from the bigger story and have him do his
Mm.
own thing.
All right, let's
Okay.
move on to the other movies opening this week. Let's do Shaun the Sheep.
Okay.
Currently 100% on the tomato meter. So pretty well reviewed. And, as a brand, kids like it, but no, even the Wallace and Gromit movies, even though they were very well regarded, very well reviewed, Wallace and Gromit movie only ended up making about 50 million. The Almond Studios' biggest stop motion film was a chicken one, and that was with Mel Gibson when he was still, one of the biggest stars in Hollywood doing voice work. Shaun the Sheep is not as big of a brand as the Wallace and Gromit movies, and it's also not opening as wide. But the reviews have been great though.
Hmm.
100% after 49 reviews is pretty awesome. If Wallace and Gromit couldn't do 50 million, I'm not sure how this could do even 30 million tops. So if it can't do 30 million, then I'm thinking it'll probably open in the 6 to 8 million range.
Possible. Well, the thing is with claymation, it's not a big thing right now. It seems like kind of a niche animation, a niche
Yeah.
technique. You have the Pixars, you have the Disneys,
Mm,
Universal with their animation studios, and you have Fox. Kids are used to the smooth movement of the characters.
mhm.
With claymation, you know how it's done, right? It's like you move these little pieces, the thing at a time, and then you take pictures, and
Right.
but they're jerky. And add to that, you have Shaun the Sheep is kind of British. The
Mhm.
studio is British, and sometimes the humor doesn't translate. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like you say, it's Shaun the Sheep is not as big a brand as Wallace and Gromit, but I could see it do I don't know, potentially 15.
15 million opening.
Yeah.
I think if it can do 15 million opening, that's a pretty solid hit.
I think it's gonna do like what the other like claymation is like box trolls, and Shaun the Sheep is more well known than box trolls. I think Shaun the Sheep has a TV series.
Yeah, it has a TV series. Yeah. The good thing is worldwide it's already done decently well. It already made nearly 60 million overseas, which is pretty good for an animated feature. The biggest market was the UK, of course. It made
Right,
20
right.
million in the UK.
Mhm.
So it's already a hit in the UK. Because Claymation, like you said, has only an okay record. lately. I mean, even Tim Burton with Pope's Bride. So even those films end up making around the 50 million range, and they were all very well reviewed and very well regarded. And those films have Tim Burton's name on it. So you're looking at, a figure that, if successful, at tops will gross 50 million. And Shaun the Sheep doesn't have that brand. No, it doesn't have the Wallace and Gromit brand. It doesn't have Tim Burton brand. So I think if it can open to 50 million, it can potentially, with good reviews, end up grossing 50 million. So that's why you're going 15 million. That's why I'm going below that. I'm going like half, 68 million.
Well, I'm going 15 because there's a TV show to support it. I mean, there's a fan base out there, right? This is not like a new thing that's just come out of nowhere.
Yeah, a TV show, but I think it's only available on Netflix. But but I could be wrong. I've only seen it on Netflix.
Yeah, so I don't
Okay.
I don't watch much TV anymore. So
All right. Okay, should we move on?
okay, Ricki and the Flash.
Another Meryl Streep movie.
Another Meryl Streep movie. Yes.
The advanced reviews have been pretty good so far. It's on Rotten Tomatoes. So far this week, the advanced reviews have been pretty good for all. The 3 out of the 4 opening films. No reviews yet for Fantastic Four.
I wonder why.
Yeah, but Ricki and the Flash, 11 reviews so far, and it's at 73%. How wide is this?
Let's see, 1,800 theaters.
Okay, so not super wide. And there aren't many movies for women out in the theater. So even though it's Meryl Streep, I'm kind of low on this too. I'm thinking 5 to 10 million range.
Which is kind of what I'm thinking too. But this is a Meryl Streep movie. It's going to be well reviewed, right? And she plays young. She's an aging rocker who, still plays in a band, try to recapture, or at least trying to make it, as a musician. But then her daughter in the movie got divorced. Her daughter's husband left her for another woman. And she has to come back and console her, and and then of course we discovered that her life wasn't going so well, that her everyone hates her, from her son to her daughter to everybody, and and then she has to learn how to be a mother again, because she's out there trying to live the life of this musician.
Right.
And the surprising thing is they found someone who looks like a younger Meryl Streep to play the daughter.
And that's gonna translate to tremendous box office.
No. we hope, but yeah, but given
good casting work, I guess.
It is.
Good casting director. Flipping through those gazillions of pictures and finally finding someone who looks like a younger Meryl Streep.
Right, and you don't know if it's Meryl Streep trying to play that's trying to act like the daughter, or the daughter acting like the mother. So who knows? It could be a bit of both. So
yeah, interesting dynamic there.
Yeah, they kind of look like and act like each other in the movie. Yeah. So given that it's only open in less than 2,000 theaters, so availability is going to be limited. So yeah, I'm going to go a bit high. I think it's going to do 10 million because of the Meryl Streep brand. All right.
Let's move on to The Gift. I don't know, the trailer seems kind of weird to me. But at the same time, with these it's sort of like a horror movie type genre. It's a thriller, but it's kind of like a horror movie type.
It's one of those stalker movies.
Yeah.
Most recently, The Boy Next Door with Jennifer Lopez.
Right. And getting, 93% on the tomato meter. There's only 14 reviews so far, but still, that's pretty good so far.
Let me tell you who's behind it. It's directed by Joe Egerton, one of the actors in the Zero Dark 30 and others. Stars Jason Bateman, Rebecca Hall, and Egerton himself. And it's produced, no surprise here, by Jason Blum, the guy who produced the Paranormal Activities. Since it is kind of like a horror movie.
Oh, that's interesting. It looks like this might be the first movie written and directed by him and starring, because he's in the movie too.
He plays the stalker.
Ah, okay. And the reviews have been fantastic so far, which is a surprise to me after watching the trailer. So what figure are you putting on this?
Even though it says nationwide, I suspect it's not going to be that wide. It's distributed by a company called TX Entertainment. So I don't think that one has a big distribution arm. So I think it's probably gonna do around 3 million.
Oh, you're going that low?
I'm going that low because look, it's a Jason Bateman movie. You know, he's the headline, even though like Joe Egerton
Yeah.
is the guy on the poster with
Yeah.
with the gift, with a present, whatever. And it also stars Rebecca Hall. So these are people who are not like known to bring out the crowd to watch.
Yeah.
We have the Fantastic Four reboot in theaters, and we have Shaun the Sheep, and we have the Holdovers. And like you say, this movie is a thriller, but with thrillers, right? You need some guy, Harrison Ford, maybe playing Jason Bateman's role, right? To bring in the crowd. You know, you need someone who looks better than Rebecca Hall playing the woman who's getting in danger, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. So 3 million.
3 million? Wow, that's pretty low. I'm kind of on the 5 to 10 million range here too.
Okay, so you go 5, 10, I go 3. So we'll come back next week and see how we did. All right.
Okay. All right.
And okay, thanks for listening.
Okay. See you guys next week.